Hello everyone, welcome back to My Language Paradise with me, Emily, and today I plan to tell you guys about my journey with the French language and specifically how I miserably failed the Lingoda Sprint. Before we get into that, spoiler alert, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. In some of my interviews, I have talked about not being the biggest fan of French. I did not like it. I had a really good teacher in the very first 2 years, and then my motivation kind of went down when I actually got a new teacher who taught more of the advanced levels in class. You always have those teachers where you think that they are really good people, but they're just bad teachers, and this was totally the case with this one teacher. In another interview that I had with Siebold Speaks, he does talk about the advantages of the classroom, so don't forget to check that out. I will link it above if you have not in a card for you. Even if classroom language learning does get a bad rep, that doesn't mean that it's bad for necessarily everyone, but I definitely think that classroom language learning had put a damper on my learning in general. I did not ever think that I would learn another language. I thought that French was going to be the thing that just turned me off of language learning for the rest of my life before I had discovered German and proved myself wrong. After those 4 years of going through levels 1 through 4, I guess that would have put me at an equivalent of a solid B2, but I did get a little bit more stubborn after turning to German and then Italian. Italian and French are really similar, and I was just so frustrated that I could learn Italian pretty fast. It took me the quarter of the time to learn Italian, and by that I mean reach a B2 level or up. In comparison to when I was learning French. I had taken the French placement test, and they did put me in a third-year level class for my level, but I did decide to kind of step it down a notch and return to the basics. So that would have been maybe to a B1 level, I would say. It made me feel a little bit better though, because at least I felt like I was, reviewing the basics a little bit. I guess it sort of paid off because throughout these, 8 years, French is the only language that I have felt genuinely so blocked. Off and on, I had already tried speaking to a few language partners, and I just could not find the initial motivation. I don't want to go to France. I would like to visit some of the countries that France had colonized in the past, but there was no certain timeline for when I would want to visit that. Even though French did help me in Morocco when I did visit, it was still like, okay, but when am I ever going to use it again? It was a frustrating process, but I think I kept going back to it because of my initial frustration after learning Italian, that I just couldn't understand why I wasn't getting anywhere in French. I still spoke so slowly. I had to, I guess, really think, maybe even for like 20 or 30 seconds, for saying one single word. I did try to study the grammar by myself again. For 8 years, it kind of went on that way where I would maybe go to the grammar books for like a few days out of the whole year and try to review what I learned. That didn't really help, so I just kind of put it away because I was focusing on all these other languages, and I thought since I was doing well in them that it would revalidate my point that I wasn't so bad after all. The Lingoda Sprint was also part of this, trying to get myself motivated again, trying to get those fundamentals down again in the language that I had forgotten, because there's still a lot of French grammar that I don't know because I haven't studied it in so long. There was the first time that I had heard of the Lingoda Sprint, and I think it has Spanish, French, and German, and then I think also English and business English, so maybe like 5 options. During this whole sprint that lasts 3 months, if you attend a class every single day for the next 90 days when you sign up, then you get all of your money back, and I'm pretty sure that amounts to over $1,000 if you did pay the full price for all of those 3-month everyday courses that last about an hour. That only happened if you did not attend all your classes. I think there is also a half marathon option where you can do 15 classes a month instead of 30 classes a month, and then you would get a partial refund. So I thought to myself, okay, I thought that I was going to stick to the schedule. I did the full marathon because I felt really motivated always at the beginning, and then of course we always see our motivation trickle down at the end. You know, and spending a lot of money is a good way to motivate people, but it actually did not motivate me. There were some teachers who were kind of condescending and some teachers who I knew just wanted to get paid and then leave the classroom. But all in all, I mean, it was a pretty, I guess, positive experience for that first month. I lost almost $270 because I just couldn't do it. I did feel myself, for the first time, speaking a little bit more fluently as that first month went, but I think all in all, I did not find the motivation. I would say, looking back, it was a combination of me being stubborn, and me also like putting it to the side for months on end. Like, I literally would not listen to it at all. Just speaking, I guess, in spaced increments in the past over these last 4 years. So maybe one time with the tutor here, and then wait 6 months, and then trying to do the Lingoda Sprint here, kind of skipping around, trying to go to, there was a French conversation hour at my college, so sometimes I would go to that. I had never improved like I had with German, and I did the exact same thing with German, is go to the conversation hour at one of the coffee shops, maybe 5 minutes away from campus. I didn't put in the necessary time like I did with the other languages. It was clear that my priorities were never in French, and nevertheless, I beat myself up for it again and was like, why can't I just get this? Why can't I just put all of this information, just stick it in my head, and then it never goes away? And I've never felt like that about a language before. Like, I know that language learning takes a lot of work. I know that it takes dedication, and you can't just, you know, cram all that information in at once. And even when you do learn the language well, it's imminent that you're going to forget something. So going back, I did take 2 courses in college. The second time was actually in my last semester of college. This was actually a French cinema class, so I thought it would be more engaging than just a grammar class. I felt so blocked in that class. I did not raise my hand, I don't think, at least even once. I didn't connect with any of the students in class. It was a little bit different with high school French because I did have my friends there and we did move up with each other. So that class was kind of a bust. I mean, it did reiterate a lot of more advanced vocabulary, and I think we did review a little bit more of the grammar for an advanced level, but that was pretty much it. Finally, I did have a language partner. We talked a few times, but as I said before in my other video, all of my language partners for this year have just kind of fallen to the wayside. So I think after talking to that language partner, I was at that time also thinking about starting Russian, and I really put my all into that. After that break, and after kind of getting more into the current events, I started looking up news just in French again, starting to get my ears attuned to that. And I think after the buildup of all these years trying to get French into my head again, I began to really connect the words that I heard in French with those that I had already learned with Spanish and Italian. And I think with all of this time, it has helped me solidify pretty passively what I remembered in French from high school or college. I did speak with another tutor because I did want to find more consistency in speaking French every week, and he actually said that I was at a B2. So that makes me happy. It took me a really long time to get there, and I'd explained my frustration to him all in French. That apparently went really well. He said I could speak fluently, but again, we were only talking about the introductions and what I liked doing. Why did I want to learn French? So I would consider my French almost a B2 at this point, but it definitely took a lot of trial and error and a lot of frustration to get there. I'm not really sure where I'm going to use French again, but I know it might be important career-wise as well. It is a very important language in the world, obviously, so I'm going to keep that in my back pocket. A lot of language learners have that one language that they're just like, just crush it up in a ball sometimes and throw it across the room. Even with all the languages that I love to speak, it has definitely not always been that way. I still wouldn't consider myself fluent in French. Maybe I could fool someone the first time someone meets me that I could speak fluently in French, just because I think I know pretty well how to present myself and what I'm doing and where do I work, stuff like that. Do what you know is good for you, because at that time with studying, I did not know exactly what to do with a language that I had studied in the past, or that I had to study, that I had a pretty bad relationship with, just with mindset and everything. If you keep on pushing and not giving up, giving yourself some breaks in between. So this was another rant of mine, also about the Lingoda Sprint, because I definitely lost a lot of money there, and I would say that it was just accumulation of all of these things that I did over 8 years that has gotten me to the point where I can say I'm almost B2. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a language that has frustrated you as much as French has me, and we'll see each other in another video very soon, so stay tuned. Bye!